Hi guys, I am Vitold, and after trying the, let's call it, regular Triumph Tiger 1200 GT in the Pro Trim, I thought I should also try the rally version with a larger front wheel and a rim of 21 inches, lifted suspension, and with wheel travel that is 2 centimeters larger in the front and also 2 centimeters larger in the rear. But I also used the opportunity to get it in the Explorer trim to try what it's like having it with a larger fuel tank and a rear radar enabling the blind spot monitoring system. So after deeply reviewing this bike in my first video some time ago, it's time to mention all the reasons for which you may want to have this bike in your garage. There is, or soon will be, a video mentioning points because of which you might prefer to skip it, and there are some things that cause some discomfort to riders who consider the rally version specifically. But right now, let's focus on what's cool about this bike and go through a list of things that many of us may like and for which many of us may like the idea of this particular bike in this particular version, so rally and also a trim. The first reason to buy this Triumph Tiger 1200, both in rally and GT actually versions, is a really great capable engine, which even though likes to stall sometimes for no apparent reason, and this allegedly can be fixed with a software update. So this is a really punchy and full of power and torque inline 3-cylinder engine with 1160 cubic centimeters of displacement, 150 horsepower and 130 newton-meters of torque, which is a lot, and together all that makes a really good combination that gives you a lot of flexibility and also can give you a lot of emotion. Seriously, it's a better engine than some may expect it to be. It does vibrate above 5000 RPM, but since it's quite torquey down low, you don't really need to rev it and keep it there. But you actually may want to, as the closer you get to the red line, the better it sounds. Yes, it sounds sick at higher RPM, and it's one of those very few instances that there is magic happening the higher you go on the rev counter. There is no screaming and begging for mercy there, but a thrilling, throaty sound that's very enjoyable. Try it yourself. You'll see. And I can only wonder what a proper exhaust would do to it, and even a pretty quiet one still, but more deep and even maybe more throaty, if that's even possible, should be great. If only it enhances the audio at idle, as the bike is super quiet there. There's also barely any shaking when you're starting the engine, like in a petrol-powered modern Mercedes. The powertrain is something that I can fully recommend, I think. The second reason for getting this Triumph Tiger 1200, and now specifically in the rally version, is that if you're really big, then your options consist of BMW R1250 GS Adventure, Honda Africa Twin, Adventure Sports perhaps, or maybe even not, KTM, and this exact motorcycle here. KTMs are also tall, but their handlebars are not as wide, so you may still feel like it's not exactly matching your size. So this Tiger Rally gets really big, especially with that fuel tank, and you may sometimes feel even a little bit overwhelmed. But exactly, if you are a huge human being, you should feel free to stretch here, and I consider this a reason for big fellas to take a look at this Triumph in a rally version. But let me quickly move to the third point that I think may be one of the main reasons for getting the big Tiger 1200 in a rally variant, and it's that if you don't like BMW brand, or specifically the GS, doesn't suit you, again, for whatever reason, the big GS I mean, but you like the idea of such an enlarged adventure motorcycle, high chances are that you will enjoy it here, as it resembles the R1250 GS Adventure, just being under a different brand. Let's put it this way. And up to some point, and in some areas, it may be pretty close to it. It may be slightly more comfy even, thanks to its seat and maybe more modern electronically adjustable suspension. And it definitely is also quicker, with not lacking that much in flexibility because of still a lot of torque. It also sounds in a way that's very different, and many riders, including myself, would prefer it to BMW's Boxer, but that's actually a whole different discussion and a different video of comparison. So I would say that overall, this is the closest thing and now a good solution for anti-BMW fans. The fourth reason is a very good one, and it's that only the rally version at the moment comes in this cool green color. I've got to say that it's tempting, especially in combination with the frame painted in white. It makes a very nice contrast. It's called matte khaki, and well, you also have to pay extra for it, and this applies to 2022 models at least. 2023 also seem to be having it. It may change later if you're watching this in 2030. The GT that I had for some time before was in, let's call it, more traditional blue color, and I considered it rather bland and boring. But this one here I really like personally, so if you do as well, then you've got to get the rally, or swap the parts, or paint it yourself, or wrap it yourself otherwise. And from this I'll shoot straight forward to the fifth reason, which is that if you are a super professional off-road fan that never needs support, or very rarely needs support, let's not be that extreme, when off-roading, and you will appreciate larger wheel travel and most likely also a larger ground clearance than in a GT version, then Rally is here for you. There is 2 centimeters of additional wheel travel in the front and also 2 centimeters in the back. So if you're physically and training wise on top, you may perhaps do more with the Rally variant while riding off the road than with a regular GT with lower wheels travel, less ground clearance, along with a smaller 19-inch rim in the front in the GT. Now in the 6th point, it's about the Explorer part, which is pretty simple and consists of basically 2 points. Basically, very basically, but for the purposes of this video, these will be the points that matter the most. If you need range, you may want to go for the Explorer regardless if it's a GT or a Rally version. In other words, you don't need the Rally for it, with a 30-liter tank, which translates into 50% more fuel and also around, let's say, 50% more range, obviously. The other point, which I'm putting as the 7th, is the rear radar that allows the bike to utilize a technology known as blind spot monitoring. It warns you of other vehicles placed on the sides of your bike behind it. So ones that you might have in your blind spot at any point and already not see in your mirrors and not yet see next to you through your visor just by looking a little bit to the sides. The idea is great. If the radar senses another vehicle, it illuminates a light in the mirror that is corresponding with the side on which that vehicle is at that moment, and if you turn your indicator on to that side at the same moment, it starts flashing. And we're moving to the 8th reason, specifically when going for both the Rally variant and Explorer trim at the same time, and it's when you are a person who can and who wants to go all in, who wants to get the top of the top, and who seeks perhaps a certain image. That top of the top isn't exactly true, it's not exactly the correct logic here, but Triumph thinks otherwise, offering that radar, for example, only in the Explorer trim. Other than that, if you've watched my full review of this model, you may know why exactly I prefer the GT in the Pro trim. So yes, anyway, this Explorer is the last thing on the website. It's all the way down there in the brochure, it's all the way down in the price list. It's considered by Triumph a flagship among the Tiger family in the Rally version. It's the most expensive. If that appeals to you, here it is. And now the last 9th point, which is basically consisting of all other great things at the same time that Triumph have done really well with this newest Tiger 1200. And let me just list them for you all together, because there's nothing that really was screwed up, which is great. It's good levels of comfort, including the super comfortable seat, including the position and adjustable suspension, already in a stock bike, with very, very soft comfort mode, which many of us may appreciate. There's a very good quality visible there. There is a drive shaft that, man, I cannot express enough how much I love. And there is a nice and intuitive menu, despite the fact that it loads forever and the animations are choppy and actually takes a while to get through the menu because it's just working slowly. It's okay, I would say. There are lots of other options that include different riding modes that you can set, so you're getting a full tech package here in the Rally, just like in the GT, and the Explorer trim only adds some things as standard and allows you to have that, for example, rear radar with blind spot monitoring. There are also some other things that are standard. There's a whole video where I'm showing you the differences between the versions, between the lines between GT and Rally, and then between the trims in those versions. You might want to check it out because there are some surprises. I hope that this all helps you, and please do share your reasons for buying either any rally version or specifically an Explorer, regardless of it being a GT or a rally, and that will be helpful to others. I recommend for you to take a look at the other perspective also and check the video about the reasons to potentially avoid this combination so that you have a full view. I'll see you in that one. Bye.